Call this council regular session to order. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, and it is 7 p.m. And we have been doing our hometown heroes each week, but unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, the individual that was lined up was not able to participate. So we are just going to do the Pledge of Allegiance ourselves tonight. So if you please stand. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have approved and or authorized for signature. So number one, agreement with Black and Beach to develop a project implementation, plan for pH compliance requirements for the city's national pollutant discharge elimination system, the NPDES permit.
Make a motion to approve and authorize for signature the agreement with Black and Beach.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I myself. Number two, contract with HASA Incorporated for bulk sodium hypochlorite for the wastewater treatment plant.
Make a motion to approve and or authorize for signature a contract with HASA or HASA for bulk sodium hypochlorite for the wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I am I as well. We have consent agenda for approval. So number three, city council minutes, minutes dated January 15th, January 18th, and February 19th, 2025. Number four, OLCC licenses. Number five, staff monthly report template and staff report, item specific template. Number six, account payable list.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 6.
I'll second.
All right, Counselor we have a motion and a second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm I as well. All right, work session action items. Did we get a date for the governing rule?
Yes, Peter Hicks is available March 17th at 5:30. Which was a date that I heard works.
Work for,
Works for me. For us, you wake?
I don't think we need to make a motion on this with trying to coordinate the dates with him. So March 17th at 5:30. Okay. So the other date we had was for the roadmap was the strategic plan in D18 at what time did we choose? 3 p.m. for that? 3 p.m. Okay, just making sure that we have the dates. Okay. The next action item.
Motion here. The motion is I move to appoint Joe Hogue as an interim chief of police subject to the terms and conditions of a mutually agreeable employment agreement.
Discussion on this?
Second.
Get a second.
Right,
Yeah, we'll call for discussion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
I just want to put on the record, I think Joe's demonstrated that he has earned this job. He has my full support. I hope everybody else's support. This is the way we've got to do it to make it right. Let's go ahead and do it. I want to make sure that Joe knows that and everybody else.
I think he's the right guy for the job, and so if this is the process also we have to go through, I just more legal steps and everything for the failures of the past 4 years ago whenever it was hired. So if we've got to make it right and the public can feel like this, we're doing the right step. This is definitely longer than I'd hoped, but at least we're moving on it now, thanks to you. And let's let it going.
kind of echo those same thoughts. Again, I'm having a hard time with the length. It just seems like Joe's been doing this since October. There's a different feel with the police department. It's obvious. Again, he's proven what he can do, what he has done. He didn't ask to be put in this position, and I think he's doing a great job with what he's been given. I don't know. I'm having trouble with this because I still don't fully understand what this is going to look like.
Is there an opportunity, since the contract is not complete, to have nomenclature in there that is 6 months? Or if in fact we get through with our governing rules and we're able to appropriately implement them per our attorney's recommendations, that we could also expedite the process?
Yeah, I think that's very doable.
And then that may alleviate some of the other stuff. I mean, for me is more the due diligence, and also getting, it's hard when our lawyers have recommended that we improve our foundational issues that we have with our governing rules. But if we can do that in a more diligent manner and get through the whole process, that could speed up the 6 months would be the fail safe. So we make sure we get all the way through it. But then if it's done prior to that, then we can execute a contract earlier. There shouldn't be something that would prohibit that. If in fact council felt everything had been done, our lawyers felt that we had done everything for their recommendations, why couldn't we do that?
Do that for community plan.
Peter talked about one direction for a contract and all this sort of stuff, and then the other attorney who's, it's more simple, it seemed to me. We've got
So
all these attorneys working on it.
here's the challenge is if we use it like interim, that we're able to sign an interim. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we do a chief position right now, that we have to do public notice, we have to go out and put the vacancy out there.
There was some question around that issue that we didn't get resolved with our, and yeah, the meeting, but if it's legal to do so, you could certainly do that.
I'm gonna look at this as SME chief, not interim chief.
It makes a difference for me when if there's ramifications, if we're not following the rules.
Fine, you can put whatever verbiage you want on that, but it's
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
it's semantics to me.
yeah, I got it. But at least with getting the contract, I think there has to be something in place. We can't expect somebody to stay in a, position, an acting role without having a contract in place, but we also need to get the rest of our stuff in order for our governing rules. And it's
But he's already interim. So we're saying he's interim again with a contract.
with a contract. I think there's other things in the contract that would be, he has no contract right now.
The hard part for me is we really haven't seen what Aiken's proposal, we heard about it tonight, but we haven't seen it.
Well, it is mutually agreeable, so those, we could negotiate, work out those terms and see what we come up with.
That's the part I like, is that it's mutually agreeable. It's not like there's input given, obviously.
I guess my ultimate goal is that I'd like to expedite this and see it happen as soon as we can legally make it possible.
Do due diligence and have our governing rules in place.
Again,
Two separate issues, but that's just my look at it.
I see some of these things being able to work on these in conjunction. I could see we can have a police chief and still be working on our governing policies and working on employee reviews and working on some of those things that need to be taken care of.
What I heard Peter say today is that the policies that we're going to be putting in place with our governing rules, that is the basically procedure we will go forward on a consistent basis throughout the rest of our hiring practices. We're not in a time is of the essence situation. We have Joe here, he's doing a wonderful job. Like, it doesn't seem like there is an emergency to fill like hire permanently at this point when we can work through do our due diligence, follow our lawyers' recommendations and get our policy done. I do like the idea of having in the contract, though, if in fact we're able to successfully complete these governing rules and get the processes in place, I wouldn't see why there's not a way to expedite a decision. What I'm not in favor of is ignoring the suggestions and recommendations from our council.
I think there was one other question about when that date starts, because there was somebody suggested a
I agree
retroactive.
with that.
Yeah.
Are we going back to October or
Well,
are we making it today or?
it seems like it should be today to me because we're putting this contract in play today. I think that
Make it retroactive would just respect the work that he's done to date.
Well, I think we're gonna respect that no matter what. The evaluation that would take place is going to it would be all encompassing, right? I mean, it's gonna include all of that regardless.
My hope would be to recognize the time that's already taken place. So
Agree.
again, we're not going to be asking him to do anything different now than what we've been asking him to do this whole time. And I think that work and effort needs to be recognized because he has, I think, accomplished a lot in just the small amount of time he's been doing this.
So what does that look like though? Like, so it feels like that, I mean, what does that look like to you? What do you mean by that? So if we have a 6-month contract, then we have 1 month left to, in the contract, if it's retroactive, where it seems like, I mean, I feel like we have a responsibility and due diligence to the foundational flaws that have been identified to correct those before we move forward. I think that there would be an evaluation though, right? That evaluation, why would it not be all encompassing?
I mean, all encompassing.
Like, I mean, the reality is if if acting chief Koch is being evaluated with this process that we have with the governing rules, it's not gonna be just evaluated on a 6-month contract. It's gonna be, the evaluation will be on, this whole entire time that he's here, but I don't get the point of doing a 6-month contract and make it retroactive. That leaves, a month on that contract. That doesn't make sense to me either. Feel like since time is not of the essence, we're selling ourselves short to try to get this done. I would prefer to do it, as quickly and expeditiously as possible. But that's up to us to get it done, right? That's us not kicking the can down the road. That's us meeting with Peter on the 17th, now that we have a date, that we're going to be working on these governing policies and putting the process in place. That process will be used during this employment hiring process. How are we going to use it? How are we going to use the employment process if we don't have it in place? We get it done quicker, we could do it, right? We got it done. We're
How
making,
would we use it in place with other people that are already in their positions?
so, well, those people are in their positions and it would be on their next evaluation. Right? It would be on their next evaluations that would come in play, or any other individuals that we hire going forward. It would be the common.
That's fine. I just don't see the distinction. If he's already been in a position and we're doing it, and implement these rules and move forward. It seems to me he's already in the position, just like anybody else that would be in the position.
Yeah, but if we're gonna be implementing due diligence and we're gonna be doing 360 evaluations and having a whole process in place, why would we not do this process with an employee that we are bringing in? We have an opportunity now to go through that process, to put it in place, get our governing rules, all of that. Why would we not use it right now? Then just putting somebody, putting him in the position, why wouldn't we go through the process?
I think we are.
Right. It's just the contract dynamics on how long that looks like.
So we're asking him to wait so we can put our house in order.
Correct. We're doing our due diligence and following our lawyers' recommendations.
I get that, but I also seen that in the time that he's been in the position, he's done everything that we would have asked from a former employee, from a former chief, and gotten things in order. I mean, that shows to me right there, look, he's willing to and capable of doing the job.
Have we done a complete department evaluation?
No, we haven't done that on any department.
Right, but that's part of the process going forward. That's,
You're making my point for me because
Right,
it
well, what-
shouldn't matter.
but it should matter, especially coming off of the lessons learned that we just had, right? So we had an incident that happened. And we have not had any, we didn't do any lessons learned. We haven't implemented any corrective actions based on the foundational flaws that have been identified. So why wouldn't we do our due diligence right now as a council moving forward? So that we can feel comfortable that we.
I'm not disagreeing with you in that sense. I'm just disagreeing with the fact that like Russ pointed out, Counselor Hubbard pointed out, he's already in the position. We're extending it for him to be in the position again. That to me makes no sense.
Right.
So if we were to go retro back to October and then we started over, then he's got a 6-month contract. At the end of that, it's been a year, right? It's a year-long evaluation period, for lack of a better term. And what more do you want?
I guess I'm not say that last
Does
part.
that make sense to you?
I mean, we're saying the same thing. It's a 6 months contract. He would be there for a year. He'd have an evaluation. And then we can decide at that point to make it permanent.
I just feel like I would be comfortable giving him an evaluation now. Would be, in my opinion, a great evaluation. I think the department would give him an evaluation now if we asked. I don't know. I understand the need to fix things that went wrong but again, I think some of those could be done at the same time. I know I've heard time isn't of the essence, but I would say our acting chief maybe feels different. I would say our officers maybe feel different. I think the sooner we get that stability and allow them what they need to function properly and continue in a positive direction like they've been doing, I think the sooner the better.
So I agree with on the sense that if we could do an evaluation now, if we had a process in place, like let's say hypothetically, that the 17th, we really work hard and we get our governing rules in place and we get the process in place on how to appropriately evaluate. Because remember, there's training coming up also for the entire city department, right, on how to properly give evaluations. So if we were able to get our governing rules done on the 17th, then what is there to prevent us we get that in place, we get our process in place for evaluations. What is actually holding us back from doing an evaluation at any point in time we get that done, that we are able, have the tools and can facilitate it?
Nothing, but we have to do it.
Right.
It's up in the air right now.
What's in the air that?
Well, when is that there's no timeline. There's no,
Well, we're meeting on the 17th to identify these processes. Let's determine our governing rules. So what if we got them all done on the 17th? And what if the process was in place and we could implement it the week after? Then if there's something in the contract that says, 6 months, if not sooner, as soon as we get this done, and if we're all committed to get it done and get that evaluation done, where are we permitted or, not permitted to expedite it?
What parts of the governing process would you like to see ironed out before this happens? What are you most concerned about?
The evaluation process. We don't have that defined on who and how those evaluations are going to be done. If it's going to be evaluation department head with the council, if it's just with John, we don't have that hammered out. We don't have it hammered out for the 360s on how that's going to work. We don't have an HR department. So do those go back to the attorney and they process that information and give that information to us? We don't have that done. I think that obviously the contract piece, that's part of what looking at for governing policies going forward for department heads. That's a discussion. But moreover, for this one, it's getting the evaluation done, doing the due diligence, making sure that the entire culture within the police department It's functioning as it should be. We just came off of an incident and I think it's irresponsible to jump right in without doing our due diligence and doing a proper evaluation.
I would add one thing, and that's,
Who's doing
in thinking about an evaluation, this contract can also help identify what Chief Hoag would be evaluated against. So there is a job description, but it could also, this agreement can just identify kind of some of the expectations and the things that he can then be evaluated against. And it's a helpful tool for the city, because right now, he's been placed into that role, in an interim basis, but without those expectations outlined.
And we are not in the departments, right? We don't operate, we can see what the surface part is, right? But we don't know. We don't really know what the culture is. We're not there. We're not living it. So that evaluation gives that, whether it's public works, whether it's the police department, whether it's any other department within the city.
Yes, what I would like to know, which we don't know right now, is from Aiken, whether this does have to be posted. Or if that is an option, that instead of interim, we could go right to chief. I think that's important to know.
Is it gonna change the fact we do a contract though? That we agree we gotta do something, right? So the contract would still get,
I think we need a
we
contract.
just don't know if we have to go, we don't know if we have to go public or not.
Yeah, we'll find that out as soon as practicable.
I get the impression we're not quite ready to move forward on this yet. I know what I'd like to do, but
I think I am. We're a council, so we need to agree on whatever that's gonna look like.
I'm for due diligence. I'm for following the lawyer's recommendations.
Verbiage in there that we can do it quicker. I could
think
be
we
okay with that.
I think we should have that in there. I think that provision should be there. If we can get our stuff in order so that we have a process to properly evaluate, then I think that should be nomenclature.
Make it part of your motion.
I think it,
Somebody want to amend their
I
motion?
don't think there's any harm to it. I mean, because really that's what the hang up is the process, right? Being able to do an actual evaluation.
So a motion could be, I move to appoint Joe Hoag as interim chief of police for 6 months, subject to the terms and conditions of a mutually agreeable employment agreement. And the city may permanently hire the chief at any time during the term of that contract.
Up to us to get this done.
Okay with that.
So we have the,
Not ideal, but I'm okay with it.
I feel better with this than the way.
Yeah.
The way it was constructed before. And I would just ask that again, if these things are a priority, if we feel strongly these need to be taken care of before the process starts, that we get it done.
Sure.
As soon as possible.
and these things are the ones we're gonna discuss on the 17th. Along with any of the other recommendations from the attorney on the government.
We need to vote this down, Kathy, or can it be amended?
There was a motion and you could, vote that.
There's a motion in a second.
We can deny it. that
Yeah.
we do.
So we had a motion and a second, Counselor Sundin,
No,
Counselor Gunderson, Counselor Hubbard, and I'm a no as well.
so we make another motion. This one is to. I move to appoint Joe Hoag as an interim chief of police for 6 months, subject to the terms and conditions of a mutually agreeable employment agreement. And the city may permanently hire the chief at any time during the term of the contract.
We had a motion, we had a second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor Gunderson,
Sorry.
Counselor Hubbard,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
So are we addressing the retroactivity component to that? Not that it counts towards the 6 months, but
I don't really think I understand what the benefit is. I think that we're evaluating, I mean, he's been here for a really long time. How is that not gonna be taken in consideration? You know what I mean?
doing the job, yeah, just not being paid for it. So,
Oh, you're saying retroactive pay.
Pay.
Yeah, it should be in the contract.
That works for me.
Yeah, it should be in that. Do we need to make a motion on that?
I think that this contract is going to come back before you.
Okay.
And so then you can approve the contract with those terms.
That would be. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about like time served.
no, I wasn't trying to. It was about the-
Okay,
the
yeah,
compensation.
yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. Any other action items we had from work session? I don't think so. So my, let's see, we have. I'm gonna remember. What's on D?
All right. Just gonna pull out my phone and find the date, but Parks and Trails. The Nob Hill Nature Park is hosting a cleanup of Nob Hill. I think that's gonna be on April 5th, if I remember right. Volunteers are always welcome there. Next Parks and Trails meeting will be next week. They are gonna be conducting 2 interviews for an open position, so looking forward to having a full crew again, and it's a good group to be a part of. They do a lot of good. And Parks Department's been busy. I think one of the most visible things is if you drive by Sixth Street Ballpark, there's a new little shed. I think it's gonna be a combined storage shed and snack shack, so that's taken shape. And then I guess just the big thing, been talking about police a lot, but it just I don't know if it was last Friday or the Friday before now, I mixed up on my days, but we had a police banquet, and that's really a great event. We weren't able to have it last year, but glad to see it come back this year, and just a great opportunity to honor the men and women of the St. Helens Police Department for all the good work they do. They get recognized for things like life-saving awards and a variety of things, and it's good to see those big things that they get recognized for, but they're out there doing the work that most of the rest of us wouldn't want to be doing every single day, every single night. And so it is appreciated. And I just want our acting chief to know that I appreciate him and the work that he's done. And as I say, there's a different feel at the police department. And I don't like that term acting chief, but he is acting. He's been acting since October, making corrective actions, and really appreciate you and the work that you're doing. And again, it's my hope if we can speed this process along, that would be my desire.
Thank you. Counselor Gunderson?
Agree with all that. The police department, coming up next week, we've got the planning commission meeting on Tuesday. Wednesday is the joint planning commission council meeting. Looking forward to that. I got to spend some time last week coming down here to the waterfront where it's coming up, and it's really, like John's been saying this for a while, but it's really coming together. It really is now. You can really see what's going on. I spent some time staring at the river and like seeing what it's gonna look. I'm really happy with the way it's coming together. So that's all I got.
Good to see Arcadia getting closer and closer, and it will be great to see them more employees all the time and getting that mess put back together and operational. I know we're going to meet with a developer here later this week and about the waterfront. So there's interest that's being generated, people discovering that we actually have a river in front of our city. So that's good.
So I want to start off and thank staff. So Kathy and Lisa, I think you are always having our staff ready to go for us and facilitating the not go. So the city staff as well. Also want to thank each of my fellow council members up here. I love the fact that we can have dialogue, not necessarily always agree, but I love the camaraderie and the professionalism up here. It's very much appreciated, and I look forward to the next few months where we can get some of the stuff behind us and start really working on some more positive things. I want to thank the citizens that are actively trying to promote positivity within the city and really try to enhance everything that we're trying to do here. I'm excited for the 18th when we can get back to our roadmap and work on those projects and other additional items that, you know, are important that we'd like to bring to the table and start working on. Tomorrow, it is tomorrow. So Russ, John and I are meeting with a developer and it's going to be interesting to see it. There is definitely more interest happening down here. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. So I'm really interested in that meeting. And we've been, you know, meeting and doing things on the police station, that beautiful picture that's back there. So I think we're trending in the right direction on that and actively working on that. So that's going to be a nice thing. Hopefully we'll get everything, you know, done and we'll have a beautiful police department that we can be proud of here. And then, John, thank you for also prioritizing and responding to all of my questions as promptly as you do. I appreciate that. And then back on the waterfront, Councilor Gunnarsson and I are on the Scappoose Bay Advisory Council, and we were commenting on how wonderful it was that people were commenting about what is actually, you know, coming down aside of all the other heartache and disagreements and opinions and frustrations from businesses, but just how nice and refreshing it was to have people go on and on and on about, you know, how excited they are about the waterfront and talking about it, and the fact that they come down at peak. It was pretty refreshing actually, and it was really nice to hear that. So that is all I have. So then we are going to go into visitor comments. So now is the time for visitor comments. The visitor comment period is an essential part of the local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. Please keep it to 3 minutes. The council will take all input into consideration. However, in observance of Oregon open meeting laws, it isn't a time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Our city administrator, city recorder are taking notes of action, and if needed, we'll follow up with you. Therefore, it's important that you make sure that you provide your appropriate contact information, the sign-in sheet at the back of the room, if in fact, like them to contact you if there's any action items. With that, we'll open it up and you have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record when you come up.
Brady Brian. Disgustingly unethical. That's a term that seems to follow you around a lot. I don't know if you were aware of this, but your executive session was live streamed. And your behavior, Jennifer Massey, was atrocious. You shouldn't be participating in this at all. You should have zero input on the police chief, none. You should recuse yourself. There's a damaging report regarding you and your husband and the police chief, and you shouldn't have a damn thing to say about it. And the fact that you do is disgustingly unethical. Disgustingly unethical. And that cancer is spreading to the other council persons. You have the ability to appoint a person that's done an excellent job. And clearly, Jennifer Massey doesn't want to be here, but the rest of you do. And under other business, which is next after visitor comment, you can make a motion and you could make that permanent today. And you need to do it today because it's clear Jennifer Massey doesn't want that to happen. Gee, I wonder why that is. Was that because Chief Hogue, as we all know from the report, was one of those people that reported your chief and his behavior and your involvement? And that disgustingly unethical comment goes to you. I watch a lot of public meetings. I attend a lot of public meetings, and I have never seen an attorney make a motion to a council ever without being specifically asked. And the fact that you did is also, I think, disgustingly unethical. Shouldn't be done. If they ask you or they ask your advice on it, but no, you volunteered it. You're not a council person. You're not elected. And To me, this whole little scene was absurd and disgustingly unethical. Do the right thing and make chief a chief. Period. Today.
And next public comment. Benny Gilbert.
I just wanted to follow up with what Brady was saying. You are in violation of ethics. I've already called down to Salem. They said they don't know why you're sitting here. And if they were you, they would pack your bags and run because the city is about to get lawsuits, at least 2. And that you are behaving like a personal attorney to Jen Massey. So you guys need to be aware that you could be sued as well with anybody that brings lawsuits in. I can't, just because somebody has a title attorney doesn't mean they know what they're doing or they're doing it right. So, and I have reason to believe that you are also guiding some of the school district situations. So when we find that out, there's going to be major problems there. Anyway, I appreciate you, Mark, about really holding your guns tonight. You guys sitting back there and watching that. I dealt with this person for a really long time. She sat there and convinced you guys and wore you down when you didn't necessarily want to do something today. So watch that behavior. You guys have the ability to say, this chief who came in a wreck of a situation has been, taking care of this for months. There's no reason. I do believe, I'm not certain, but I do believe you have to post the job publicly. I think it's just law, and then you can hire him. There's no reason to wait for 6 months. And I do think under other business, if you guys are brave enough, I think you should put Chief Hogan. And I'm sitting here on public record telling you that I know for a fact that Jen Massey does not want him in and that she was working to undermine him, and that is all going to come out soon too. So be aware. I don't know what the 6-month thing is. I'm guessing it's to try to spill more purse and not have him in. So anyway, appreciate you guys.
Have a comment.
Adam St. Pierre. Normally, when people say they know something for a fact, they present evidence. I don't know, just kind of thing I've seen on TV a time or two. I've also watched a Scappoose City Council meeting or two, and amazingly enough, they have an attorney involved in every single council meeting there too. But I don't know, that's just things that I've seen in our local community and on TV, so I don't know. I think it happens elsewhere. Some people just don't know where they get their information from, I guess. That's their opinion, so. I thank you guys for what you do. I do like the fact that the council meeting starts off on a positive note. I don't necessarily think I agree with public comment being at the end. If there's things that are going to be voted on that night, I think the public should have a chance to say so in the beginning of the night. But I can appreciate both sides of that. So thank you guys.
Anybody else? Public comment? Do we have anybody on Zoom? All right. We have any other business? All right. So it is 7:38. This meeting is adjourned.